Lessons Not Yet Learnt is a podcast that uncovers the costly mistakes that businesses keep making and how to finally move past them. Through storytelling, candid conversations, and expert perspectives, I'm on a mission to challenge outdated thinking, bring those overlooked lessons to the surface, and drive meaningful change, one story at a time. Hi, welcome to this bonus episode of Lessons Not Yet Learnt. I'm your host, Kiran Kachela, and today I want to follow on from our last episode about rinse, repeat, regret, where we talked about change teams being brought in too late, being pushed to deliver too fast, and being disbanded too soon. And one of the key lessons that we learned from that episode was actually that we need to go see. We need to get out of our boardrooms, stop looking at dashboards on screens, and we need to go and get our fingernails dirty, get to the shop floor, go and talk to people, go and touch, feel, sniff, whatever you need to do to really get under the skin of what's going on. We talked about this principle of go see, which actually stems from the lean principle of Gemba. And Gemba, it translates in Japanese to actually going to the place where the value is created, okay, where the real work happens. And so I often take my team out for Gemba walks. We encourage Gemba walks when we're working on projects because it's so important. You cannot possibly understand what's going on unless you actually get to the nitty gritty and go and speak to the people and see what's happening. There is a problem though. What happens when you do go see and you cannot see the problem? Now, that happens often. So today's episode, I want to talk about the ugly truth about waste and making waste visible. Now, when I talk about waste, I'm not talking about dustbins and rubbish bags, okay? What I'm talking about is activities. Any activity that consumes resources and doesn't add value to your customer. Our days are filled with waste. If you look back at any day this week, you'll see that there were a number of activities you did that really were not value adding. In fact, I challenge you to go and find the value add because often most of our week is filled with activities that we feel we have to do, but actually we never step back and say, is it adding value? Examples, we sit in meetings all day. How much of those meetings are really giving us productive outcomes that are really, truly delivering value for your customer? We're sat in front of our screens, replying to emails, constant emails. It's just this flurry that we just cannot get on top of because we get through 2 emails and we get another 5. So we're constantly replying to emails. How much of that adds value to your customer? We have ill-defined processes that we operate on a daily basis, and processes where we find lots of duplication, where we're copying and pasting information into multiple systems, or worse still, we have processes that have actually designed waste in. And what I mean by that is we have processes where perhaps something didn't work and we have an error and we're always fixing an error in a process step. What we tend to do is rather than fix the root cause of that and stop that error from occurring, we add another process step. We add another check, another spreadsheet, another audit, another person even. So all of that is waste. And I've seen processes designed where it's become complex because we're trying to find a workaround to a problem rather than fixing the problem. Waiting is another waste. So how often are we sat there waiting for people to do what they need to do for us to be able to do what we need to do? How many times are we, waiting hours, if not days and months sometimes for approvals? All of that is waste. We need to go see that waste, but sometimes it's not visible. Why? Because we often find that people hide it, okay? Either because they don't actually know it exists, or they're too afraid to expose it. And it's because we've created an environment where there isn't that psychological safety, okay? People don't feel safe to be able to highlight things that are not going well because they think that it might reflect on them, because they're worried about the repercussions. So it's really, really important to actually create this psychologically safe environment where people feel like it's actually a really positive thing to highlight when things aren't working well, where there's waste in processes, so that we can actually do something about it. Because trying to brush it under the carpet isn't the answer. It's not going to go anywhere, and it's only going to make your processes more complicated. So I challenge you all to get out on the shop floor and go and make your waste visible. Create that culture of problem solving. Encourage everybody to help highlight and flag where there's waste. And that is your invitation to drive improvements. Thank you for joining this bonus episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.